so let's move on. It's alright, 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 so let's move on.
Alright, cool beans. Hope you guys enjoyed that small montage. I'm Hex. I'm going to be going over my updated StamSorc build for the Scribes of Fate patch. Honestly, StamSorc, with this build, I changed up a few sets, and honestly, this build felt so, what's the word? It felt so rejuvenating. Yeah, with this build, I changed up a few sets, and it felt so rejuvenating. I've never played StamSorc quite like this. But I'm just going to get out of the way. StamSorc healing is a little sus, I'm just going to say it. But with this build, I think we can get that susness and just throw it out the window as best as we can. Not only does it come with the Meta Tankiness, Meta Sustain, it comes with some of the best high pressure damage possible on StamSorc. What makes StamSorc so great also is the mobility. No class can compare to you. The only one that maybe can compare is Max Sorc, but that's another Sorc. If you want to get out of dodge, StamSorc can decide, you know what, I'm out. You know, I'm out. Just insane. But I guess they had to make it up for having some of the worst healing. But don't worry, we still have some great healing, even though StamSorc just doesn't have great healing to begin with. But how exactly do we get the strong build in order? Stick around to the end of the video and I'll show you exactly how. But before we get started, if you hit the subscribe and like button, it really goes a long way and I greatly appreciate it. Also support me on Patreon if you ever want to choose the first video of every month, or even potentially the middle video of every month. Also, if you want to see me play live, ESO, or other games, follow me on Twitch. But without further ado, let's streak our way into the build. Okay, so first skill we run is Crystal Weapons. This is actually a really good skill. It basically makes our next light attack do bonus damage that actually does it for the next two light attacks. The first one does the most damage, the second one does like 1/3 of the damage, I believe. Not only that, you get 1,000 armor shred on the target when you hit them with this. You do burst damage with your light attacks, it's pre-placed, and you get armor shred on the target. And if that wasn't enough, you get some cost reduction to your next non-ultimate ability. Because why not? Next skill is Streak. Obviously, when you think of a Sorc, you think of Streak. This is your instant cast teleport to get away, or this morph basically does damage and stuns them for 3 seconds. Now this is where I get frustrated. This thing is unblockable, undodgeable, and it stuns you for 3 seconds. What is wrong? Next skill is Crystal Surge. This is basically how we can get our 20% weapon and spell damage, just in case we don't get it from our pots. When you deal critical damage, you heal for almost 3,700 health with a 1 second cooldown, and this heal itself can crit, so that's really good. Sorcerer needs all the heals it can get. Next skill is Rending Slashes. This is one of your spammables slash very high pressure dot. When you cast this ability, you hit an enemy with both weapons, and you also put a nasty dot. The thing about hitting with both weapons, if both of your enchants are off cooldown, you can actually hit the enemies and proc both of your enchants on them. And I like this morph because it always puts hemorrhaging on the initial attack, and it reduces their movement speed so we can lock them down for our combos. Next skill is Whirling Blaze. This is also your spammable slash execute. The lower health they are, the harder we can hit. Guess what? You can't roll dodge with Whirling Blaze, and you always catch so many people off guard with this. And it's also really good to get those pesky Nightblades out of stealth. And for ultimate, obviously the powerhouse that is Dawnbreaker Smite. And this is our hard hitting. Let's just buff up real quick. Look at that, over 14.5k Dawnbreaker, and look at that dot. Wow. Do a ridiculous amount of damage in a cone in front of you, stuns the target for 2 seconds, and if they're able to tell the tale of the Dawnbreaker, well, that dot's for sure gonna put them down. For our back bar, we do run Race Against Time. Obviously, this is our snare immunity that just happens to get Major Expedition and Minor Force. Next is Hurricane. This is basically the StamSorc armor buff. Last 20 seconds, does dot damage around us every 2 seconds. But the crazy thing is, while this armor buff is active, which it should always be active, your armor buff should never fall, you gain Minor Expedition, increasing your move speed by 15%. So you get permanent Minor Expedition on a StamSorc, literally making you the fastest class in the entire game. Next skill is Resolving Vigor. This is obviously our burst hot. Heal a lot over 5 seconds and grants us Minor Resolve. Next is what I would consider your flex spot-ish. I would highly recommend Dark Deal. Just keep Dark Deal. Basically, this is your quote-unquote emergency quote-unquote heal. Like, this thing is terrible for the heal. The whole point is the resource regen. Basically, you instantly restore some stamina, and you get 2,400 stamina over 10 seconds. But as of this patch, this thing got a crazy buff. The exchange also grants you Minor Berserk and Minor Force for 10 seconds. We don't care about Minor Force, we already have that from Race Against Time. Minor Berserk for 10 seconds, that is a huge buff. And the last skill is Elemental Accessibility, or most common for 2S, Ellie sus. Basically, this is how we get major breach on the target, getting almost 6k armor shot on the target, and putting burning chills and concuss. And we all know what happens when we put chilled on an enemy with this ice staff equipped, which we do have. We put minor brittle on the target, making them take 10% more damage from crits. And lastly, temporal guard for ultimate, obviously just for the passive, while slotted to gain minor protection. All right, but enough of that. Let's go over the stat sheets. Alright, so for the stat sheets, there are obviously going to be 2 stat sheets always, depending on what pots you run. You can either run tripods, gives you a nice recover of everything, but you do lose on a lot of crit, or you could go spell damage pots with crit, get a lot of crit, but do sacrifice a lot of stam recover. Honestly, up to you. If you're a beginner player, I would go with tripods. More advanced player, or you think you're the best StamSorc ever, go with spell drop pots. Now let's go off tripods real quick. Look at that, max mag over 15k. Max health over 33.3k, max dam over 22.4k, or actually just flat even. That's pretty nice. And our mag recov is over 1200, and our stam recov is over 1667. But you might have to realize, might be a little low, but you have to realize we're a sorcerer with dark deal. That is the crazy thing about sorcerer. You don't have to build any sustain into the build, and you will have the best sustain of any class. Let's just keep our buffs up real quick. So our weapon is spell damage over 5200. And our spell crit on this build is almost just shy of 27%. This actually can go up to almost 39% if you do run the spell drop pots, which I'll show in a little bit. Now our resist on our back bar real quick. Look at that, spell resist over 27.2k, and our physical resist is over 26.5k. And our crit resist is just shy of 2100. We are very, very tanky. Now let's just check our stat sheets with the spell drop pots. Basically, everything's gonna be the same. Our stam recup is gonna lose like about over 300 stam recup, but we do get over 12% crit. Look at that, we have a 39% chance basically of critting on this build, which is just insane. That also carries over very well to our back bar. Just insane to think about. So for the attributes, I do have 32 points in the health and 32 points in the stam. Honestly, on this build, if you feel like you want more points in the stam, you could put more points in the stam. Personally, no, up to you. For the food, obviously we do run Jewels and Mystery, saying that purple food is perfectly fine. For the Mundus, we do run the Thief. If you know me, you know that I love crit. The Thief Mundus is basically almost the go-to on all my builds. Gives you 6% crit chance on both bars to do basically 50% bonus damage and over 50% bonus healing. And I mean, that's already got me sold. Because what shreds pugs is crits. When you crit your combo, boom, done, they're gone. And what's really pressures a sweat is when you crit your whole combo, and that's how you catch sweats off guard, when your whole combo crits. And obviously we are a stage 3 vampire for one simple passive. Undeath. The lower health we are, the tankier we become. And for my race, I am an Imperial. Honestly, in my opinion, Imperial is hands down the best open world stam race out there. We get access to tough, increases our max health by 2k, the most max health you can get from a racial passive. Imperial Metal increases our max stam by 2k, but most importantly, Red Diamond reduces the cost of all our abilities by 6%. That includes Magicka, Stamina, Health, and Ultimate's cost 6% less. Also, Roll Dodge, CC Break, and Blocking all cost 6% less. This is basically almost negating the negative effects of being a stage 3 vampire, which is really, really good. Some weird alternatives, Khajiit would be perfect for this build. We have high crit on this build. Orc could be really good. Dark Elf could be okay. Wood Elf could actually be really good. Redguard, I would not try Redguard. Anything else I'd kind of maybe stay away from, to be honest. Or actually Nord would be okay. Alright, but enough of that. Let's go over the sets now. Alright, so for the monster set we do run the powerhouse that is Balorgh. Yes, I was able to fit Balorgh on this build, and it honestly feels like a force to be reckoned with. Because more than likely, when you drop your ultimate, that's it. You're committing to the damage. You're committing to getting the kill. Honestly, a very, very good set. So on this build, just like last patch, we are running Dragon's Appetite. Honestly, Dragon's Appetite is basically a must on StamSorc. What's really good is a 2 to 4 piece. Weapon and spell damage, never consider that. But you get 2 lines of stam recover, which is really, really nice. That way we don't have to always rely on Dark Deal to stay alive. But the main 5 piece increases your damage done to bleeding enemies by 225. So when we put a bleed on them with rending slashes, they take 225 bonus damage from all attacks, dots, direct damage, everything. The thing is, dealing non-bleed damage to bleeding enemies generates a persistent stack of Dragon's Appetite, up to once per half second. After 10 stacks, you consume the stacks and heal for over 9k. And this set can actually crit and go up with our modifiers, because we do have access to major vitality, major mending, and we're also not near a keep, so this thing can actually spike up very, very high. So this is really good. It's great for damage and it's great for healing, because StamSorc needs all the healing it can get. So on this build, we actually don't run a mythic or training. I know, weird, right? Technically, our mythic-ish is the arena weapons. And what arena weapon is that? I mean, come on. The Master's Perfected Dual Wield. Obviously, non-perfected, perfectly fine. So the only thing the perfected version does is grants 2.5% crit. That's it. 2.5% crit chance. Whether perfected or non-perfected, the main thing, Twin Slashes deals an extra over 1600 damage for the initial hit and the bleed. The thing is, when you rending, you actually hit him twice with both weapons. So you actually do double practice initially, and every bleed take, you basically double the damage of your bleed, which is just insane pressure. And if you have it perfected, the line of crit, oh, beautiful. But for the last set we do run on this build, the back bar set, honestly, I'm very happy I can run it on a different build other than Mag DK. Daedric Trickery. Honestly, Daedric Trickery on this build was perfect. Just absolutely perfect. The 2 to 4 piece, okay, it's whatever. But the 5 piece, when you deal damage, you gain 1 of 5 random major buffs for 21 seconds every 9 seconds. So you can basically have 3 of these buffs active at once if you're lucky enough. You get Major Expedition, 30% move speed, Major Protection, 10% damage mitigation, Major Mending, increases our healing done by 16%, Major Vitality, increases our healing received by 16%, but most importantly, Major Heroism, increasing our ultimate generation by 3 every second and a half. This basically almost doubles your ultimate generation. The thing about ultimate generation, not only is it more damage because you're able to pump out ultimates faster, but it synergizes perfect. I mean, absolutely perfect with Balorgh's. Just the ultimate generation with Balorgh's is just perfect synergy, and you also get some really, really good buffs. Major Expedition being fast at all times, can't catch you, can't do damage to you. But most importantly, Major Mending and Vitality, having one of those up or even both at the same time basically mitigates the fact that you don't have great healing on this build. And obviously Major Protection, really good for just tankiness. Tankiness, more damage indirectly because of Balorgh's. What more do you need? And it's back barable. It's just a beautiful set. Alright, so the way we run it. So for the front bar, we do run the Perfected Maces. We do run a Azor Stam enchant. Good for the sustain, but mostly they're just there to be able to proc Minor Breach. Please, on the main hand, make a Nerd Node. It makes a difference. And on the offhand, we do run a Flame enchant with Sharpen. Flame enchant just to keep that dot pressure going and keep those vampires at bay. And Sharpen, obviously, because in PvP, penetration is king. In our back bar, we do run an Ice Staff of Daedric Trickery with the Prismatic Onslaught enchant and defending because tankiness is next to godliness. And for the body, we do run the typical 3-3-1, 3 heavy, 3 medium, 1 light. So the only heavy I have is a heavy Balorgh's Helm, heavy chest of Dragon's Appetite, heavy shoulders of Balorgh's, a light sash of Dragon's Appetite, medium hands, feet, and legs of Dragon's Appetite. And for the enchants, if you can, trash out all the pieces. If you can't do that, trash out the big pieces. What I mean by that is head, chest, and legs. And if you can't do that, max damage perfectly fine. Just adjust your health attributes at the end. And for the traits, typical 6 M-Pen, 1 Reinforce. Yes, 6 M-Pen, 1 Reinforce. The only Reinforce I have is a heavy chest Reinforce, and the rest M-Pen. But obviously, if you want more Reinforced or some well-fitted, go ahead. That's what I like about builds. We fit to our playstyle. And for the jewelry, we do run all jewelry of Daedric Trickery. Yes, a neck and 2 rings of Daedric Trickery, all infused, all with weapon and spell damage, preferably the ones that grant Stam Recup. But if you have some or all with Mag Recup, it wouldn't make or break the build. Honestly, if you want, you could run full Bloodthirsty. Honestly, full Bloodthirsty would probably be the best, but I made them infused and I'm not going to transmute, or I don't even have purple mats for this anymore. So honestly, it might be a little expensive, trust me, but honestly, I would recommend you doing the Trickery jewelry, just in case you plan on playing a DK, because Trickery is really good on DKs. So the only problem with this build is like, Hex, I don't want to make purple jewelry. Purple jewelry is very expensive to make. Honestly, you could maybe get away with blue jewelry. I don't see it really that much of a hindrance. Or you could replace it with Rallying Cry. Rallying Cry could be really good, like last patch we could just run Rallying Cry. Or most importantly, you could run Hit Sap. Honestly, Hit Sap would be really, really good. So those are 2 great alternatives, if just in case you don't want to make purple jewelry. Either run Rallying Cry or Hit Sap. Hit Sap would probably give you the best healing in the entire game. Or maybe even Maros if you still have some Maros lying around. And for the food, we do run Jewels of Mistral. Gives a lot of max health and recover everything. But obviously if you got Deep Pocket, or don't mind spending a little extra, or Zaka Smoke Bear Haunch, gives you about 400 more max health and slight more recover. And for the pots, there are 2 pots. You can either run Tripods, gives you recover of everything, which is perfect for sustain. If you're more of a beginner player, I would recommend these. But if you are more of an advanced player, or you're saying, nah, Hex, I'm the best StamSorc in the world, I'm the best player, then I would try to see if you can try to do the spell drop potions, because this will give you 12% more crit chance on both bars, which is really, really good. And it gives us a burst of mag, which is okay, I guess. That way we can dark deal more. You can either craft them yourself, or you can just buy the AP vendor ones. They do the exact same thing. Same thing for the tripods. You can either craft them yourself, or you can just get the crown tripods that I have here. Alright, but enough, let's go with the CP now. Alright, so for the blue CP, we do run Fighting Finesse, increase our critical damage, critical healing. Focus Mending, increase our healing done with single target heals. Deadly Aim, increase our damage done with single target attacks. And Ironclad, reduce our damage taken from direct damage attacks. And for the red CP, typical seal of approval red Hex CP. Celerity, increase our movement speed by 10%, on to my opinion, the best CP in the entire game. Survival Instincts, while played with a status effect, our core combat skills cost less. Relentlessness, being stunned or fear cause you gain major protection for 3 seconds. Now you may be wondering, why am I running Relentlessness with Danger Trickery? Doesn't Danger Trickery already give major protection? Yes, it does, but the thing is, you're not always guaranteed to have major protection up. And that's what I like about Relentlessness. When you get stunned, more than likely they're committing on you. They're committing the combo on you, and that's when you want major protection up at all times. So I rather just have it just in case Danger Trickery slips or I don't have it up. It saves me right there. But obviously, if you don't want that, you could honestly run Sustaining by Suffering. This would be a really, really good passive right here. But honestly, up to you personally. And lastly, but certainly not least, Pain's Refuge. The more net effects we have acting on us, the tankier we become. But alright, cool beans, that's the build. Hope you guys did enjoy it. Honestly, this StamSorc build was so much more fun than the other one. The other one, the healing was a little sus-ish. But honestly, Danger Trickery, it's just a fun set. Just try it out and you'll love the set. Like, it's such fun. You get major buffs. That's what I like about builds. A build being very good can only take you so far. If the build is really good but it's so boring, like a heavy attack, 1-2 abilities, heavy, like, that's boring. To me, I like a build like builds that give you these unique buffs, just let you run and gun. That's what I like about builds. But obviously, the only warning I say is StamSorc healing is sus. The healing is sus, and the unfortunate nerf to Mars Balm means we can't run that set anymore. That set is dead on arrival. But as always, for those legends that are still sticking around to the end of the video, I greatly do appreciate it. If you guys can hit the subscribe and like button, really goes a long way and I greatly do appreciate it. Also support me on Patreon if you ever want to choose the first video of every month, or even potentially the middle video of every month. If you ever want to see me play ESO live or other games live, follow me on Twitch. But as always, hope you did enjoy the build video. Like the video if you liked it, comment your thoughts or experience with the build. Also anything I might have missed out, what video I should do next. Subscribe for more. But most importantly, stay Zerging.